Yeah. Ani? So,
whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today. But if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on through our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace.
Hi, I'm attorney Gavin M. Richard. Check out my latest book, The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in America. For approximately 2 years now, I have gone on a painstaking quest to investigate the rise and fall of an American icon, Bill Cosby. In the mid-1980s, there was not a star that was higher than Cosby. Advertisements with Coca-Cola, Zelle, Kodak, along with the #1 television show for 5 straight years in a row. On Thursday nights, it was must-see TV on NBC. Cosby resurrected the genre of the traditional family sitcom that was once thought dead by television critics. He did this as a Black American with an all-Black cast and showed mainstream network executives in white America that it was possible to be successful without showing the worst in people. He also demonstrated the power that television had, as it can make younger people dream to be the best that they can be. However, like many celebrity stars, unfortunately, they all come crashing down, sometimes by their own fault, others not so much. In this book, I attempted to highlight certain things. We go in depth into both of his trials in 2017 and 2018, respectively. What if I told you that these criminal trials were politically motivated by an overzealous district attorney? Will you also be shocked to learn The attacks on Mr. Cosby did not start in 2014, but also in the 90s, not long after his attempted quest to purchase a major network. From where did all of these allegations of sexual misconduct come from? Were the accusers telling the truth? In the 2 years of research, with some help from others interested in learning the truth and facts about this case, we discussed both the legal reasons why his prosecution and trial were illegal, unwarranted, and also the possible personal motives as to why this may have occurred. Most importantly, we warn about the dangers of prejudice and why trial by social media, or mainstream media rather, should never be the norm. All this and more in The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in America. Available on Amazon this fall in Kindle and paperback format.
That was Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus Cosby Jr. Destruction of due process in the United States as it is now. However, articulated that I advise everyone that book. Happened with Dr. Cosby, in particular at trial. Why he railroaded, why eventually why he was also vindicated. So you must read that book, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in the United States. Welcome everyone to an exciting edition of Random Topic Thursday, Sunday here on Channel 276. Just before the weekend ends, we get started with you, ladies and gentlemen, whoever you are, wherever you are. I hope you're the best of doing safe. We begin with our following topics. Of course, we'll be talking about Raphael Warnock versus Herschel Walker of Georgia. Georgia, what's on your mind? Ray Charles said, Georgia, on my mind. I got to ask Georgia, what is on your mind? And Obama is campaigning next 2 weeks in the state of Georgia. So we're going to be discussing all of this craziness that is happening and all the other stuff that I can think of around the world. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, there are ways to support me. You can, of course, advertise with us at gavin.com or Patreon. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a great way to support us. Also, you can check out our music video show and kind of get on our on iTunes. I also have some Creole seasoning blends that I would like you all to try and purchase on these Creole blends, ladies and gentlemen. Go to CreoleBlends.com and order you some Creole seasoning. Try it on chicken meat or fish. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our first song. My song, as always, got to get on up. Of course, before we get on down, we always got to get on up. Now, I'm going to put this here. Y'all, let's get started.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance the beat. Cause on the dance floor is where we're Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the.
Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Now, 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you breathe and you achieve. And so, if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up
And move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Yeah, gotta get on up. Come on, baby, gotta get on up. Baby.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
All right, feel the groove, get on the floor. We gotta get on up, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing this evening? This Sunday evening before the credit. I'm looking forward to it as much myself personally, but it's coming, it's here. So we have to do with it, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you are safe and doing blessed. What are you guys up to today? It is Sunday, October 16th. We're already halfway through October. Can't believe it. It's hard. That's why I'm trying to get my stuff together, get everything, my stuff in order. Uh, you know, life is very short, and so it's important that you do what you want to do, do whatever makes you feel right. As long as it's not against the law, obviously, and it's not against time. You do it. And sorry about that. I'm looking for a screenshot. So I thank you all for all tuning in. We're trying to get more people in. I've been voting the same. I've told people about it. I'm on it. It's all on Twitter. I don't see too many people here, but if you all would please be kind to smash up the likes, ladies and gentlemen. We're here. It is Random Topic Sundays. Got a couple of things we're going to get into, of course, tonight. Um, Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to find. There we go. I got it. Thank y'all. Sorry about that. All right. So we have random topic Sundays, and a lot is going on out there. I want my Georgia fam. I see Darius from Atlanta. I gotta ask him about all the craziness that's going on uh, in his home state of Georgia, because as you know, right now there is, of course, an election that is going on with regards to your Senator Raphael Warnock versus Herschel Walker. Yeah, it's not even funny. It is not even funny, ladies and gentlemen, that this is happening, but it is. Your Raphael Warnock and your Herschel Walker have had a debate this past Friday, I believe. Because as you know, the election is coming up, and the midterms will be here in the next few weeks. And even on top of that, you have President Obama, former President Obama, who's going to be campaigning in the state of Georgia over the next few weeks, because you not only have the senator's race with Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker, you also have the race for governor between Brian Kemp, the incumbent Republican, and the Democratic hopeful Stacey Abrams. And by all accounts, Stacey Abrams, from what I have been reading, the numbers in polls don't look that very good. Now, with regard to Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker, I believe it's a lot closer than what most people think. And I think that it's been mixed tipping in the scales of Herschel Walker and not. Now, I actually and watched this debate, or at least most of it, to try and get out an idea to talk to you all about it. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this was this is where we are going in our country right now. Where it was basically one character from Sesame Street and another character got brain damage that are actually in charge of the state of Georgia and representing the state of Georgia in the Senate. Now, we're going to go through and look at it. This has already been viewed almost 1 million views at this point. But Herschel Walker, I looked at the thing, and hold on a second. Y'all gotta excuse me once. Y'all gotta excuse me. I gotta take this call. All right. I don't really like answering the calls on Sundays. I hope it's not too. But what is on your mind, Georgia? So what we have today, we're going to place a lot of some things in that debate. Now, I thought there was some things that were interesting. Now, Raphael Warnock, I've been critical of both of the parties. I've been critical of Warnock. I also am not a fan of Herschel Walker. But I have to admit that some of this was entertaining. But I think when they got to it, talking about the abortion aspect, uh, especially about medical care, I thought was funny. Now, if you watch, I know it's serious because some people take this stuff serious, but I mean, Herschel Walker was going in talking about digesting the insulin.
Family. Tonight, he's going to try to sweet talk you that he's doing a good job, but his record speaks for itself. I'm here to tell you that they've raised your taxes, gave you high inflation. They even put men and women's sports. And I want to let you know that Raphael Warnock, we give him 6 more years. Think what he's going to do. So I'm here to fix it.
Mr. Walker, thank you. Senator Warnock, we turn now to you for your opening statement. You have 60 seconds.
Well, thank you so very much. And hello, Georgia. It's so wonderful to be back here in my hometown. Now, I know that we're in a debate.
Eyes are big. Well, I say Sesame Street. His eyes look like the like Elmo eyes up there.
Tonight, but
Hugging.
really I come with a deep heart filled with gratitude, probably because I grew up about a mile from here in the Caton Homes housing projects. I'm one of 12 children in my family. Clearly, my preacher parents read the Bible, be fruitful and multiply. When I think about the arc of my life, the short distance and the long distance from there to here, I know that only in America is my story possible. My family taught me the importance of hard work and how to build the beloved community that Dr. King used to talk about. And I brought that spirit to the Senate. At the end of the day, this race is about who's ready to represent Georgia in the U.S. Senate. I think that choice is clear, and I look forward to having that discussion tonight.
Thank you, Senator Warnock. Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to this hour. So we will start tonight with the most important issues facing Georgia voters.
Our next star, Emerson College The Hill poll shows the economy, threats to democracy, and abortion access are.
So according to the next star polls, we got to be careful. And with polls, yes, they are skewed a certain way, but obviously what most people are concerned about, and you see it's in red, is the economy. And I would agree with that. And of course, there's threats to democracy, and 11% is, of course, is not the number. Abortion is not the number one thing that obviously is on the minds of Georgia voters.
Are the top three issues. We're going to begin tonight with the economy. Everyday Georgians are struggling. They're struggling to pay for food, gas, childcare, housing. This week, the inflation rate continues to rise. Mr. Walker, we're going to start with you. You've been openly critical, blaming President Biden and the Democrats for inflation and for the economy. If elected, what is one idea that you would champion to reduce inflation? We ask you to be specific. You have 60 seconds.
Well, first of all, you have to blame this administration and Senator Warnock because within 2 years, this inflation has gotten worse. They cut our energy independence. They also raised taxes. And at the same time, they reckless spending all our money. So he would sit here tonight and say that he's doing a good job for us. And you asked me, what is one job I would do to help the inflation? First of all, we got to become independent, energy independent again. And the reason why, we're going to our enemies to ask for gas and oil. And that puts us not just in an inflation problem, but it put us on a national security problem. And I think that's something that I think Senator Warnock need to realize. And he mentioned that he grew up here in Savannah with 12 siblings, Well, in this area, most people live paycheck to paycheck. And we have inflation the way he's brought inflation on. How in the world can you buy grocery or gas for your family?
A follow-up question to that, Mr. Walker. Most economists say that cutting government spending is the first step in economic recovery. I would want to ask you, would you consider cutting military funding or spending on social services to accomplish this goal? And you have 30 seconds.
I would not think about cutting military spending because first, I believe in peace through strength. Right now, we're at a brink of war. And I think right now with Senator Warnock, who he and Joe Biden, they don't show any strength. And we have to protect this country. And I said it early on, right now, because we're giving our energy up to enemies that don't like us, we have to be ready for war. This is not a playground. So we have to be ready for war right now.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Senator Warnock, since President Biden has taken office, inflation has reached levels that we haven't seen in 40 years. You've supported nearly every piece of legislation that this administration has pushed through Congress. Do you take any responsibility for the financial hardships currently that Georgians are facing? And you have 60 seconds.
There's no question that people are feeling pain at the grocery store, at the pump, at pharmacy counters. And while we are paying record prices, a lot of our corporate actors are seeing record profits in the oil and gas industry and the pharmaceutical industry, which is why I've stood up for ordinary, hardworking Georgia families time and time again. I passed the single largest tax cut, contrary to what my opponent is suggesting, for middle and working class families in American history. And we passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which had two of my provisions. One, caps the cost of prescription drugs for seniors so they don't have to choose between buying medicine and buying groceries. And one caps the cost of insulin. He said he would not have voted for the Inflation Reduction Act. And I think he should tell the people of Georgia why he thinks they should have expensive insulin and why the pharmaceutical companies should be able to charge us whatever they like.
Well, first of all, may I respond? I believe in reducing insulin, but at the same time, you got to eat right.
It is.
Because he may not know, and I know many people that's on insulin, and unless you have eating right, insulin is doing you no good.
Unless you eat right, insulin is doing no good. Oh, as someone who knows that diabetes runs in the family, let me say this. First of all, I think I understand what Herschel, I'm trying to say, what's the difficult Herschel? He is correct about diet, dieting, and exercise. I think it's well known in history, especially it's well known, especially when we see medical experts, that if you live a healthy lifestyle, you actually are going to get better. If your body functions much better, right? If you diet, if you exercise, and lose weight. Because obesity is a problem in this nation. In fact, why do you think it's actually so now the Coca-Cola company, Pepsi company, are now making products with sugar? Because there's a sugar pandemic in America. So that is true to an extent. However, if you are older person, obviously, older people, people that are handicapped, are not able to work out like I am. My father has an amputation, so he can't walk around like talking about it. So someone is saying my audio is bad. Y'all serious? If you can hear me, make some noise. I'm talking right in the mic. If you can hear me, make some noise. All right, I'm just gonna keep going forward, man. But so he's right about that. But I think it comes across, especially to other people, when you listen to it, that he's blaming them for their condition. Well, and Warnock wants to bring that up. Now, somebody said the sound is distorted. Okay, it's choppy. All right, let me see what I can do. Hold on. All right, is that better? Is that better, family? You gotta give me a yes or no.
So you have to get food prices down, and you got to get gas down so they can go get insulin. And you continue to pat yourself on the back. But right now, families are starving. Right now, families are hurting, and they're hurting because of the bills and the laws you're passing right now.
Senator Warnock, I'll give you an opportunity for a
Listen,
rebuttal.
I meet people all the time in my church who are trying to manage their diabetes. I've been there when they've gotten the news that they've got to get an amputation. And I think we're hearing from my opponent tonight that it's their fault that prices of insulin are being gouged. I don't think it's their fault. I think it's the fault of these pharmaceutical companies. Insulin's been around 100 years. The patent was sold for $1. They're engaged in price gouging, and too many people in Washington think they work for the pharmaceutical companies. I work for the people of Georgia.
Well, he's in Washington.
Can I finish? I work for the people of Georgia.
Yeah, well, you're in Washington.
And that's why I stand up for them every
You're in
single
Washington,
day.
and you're the leader.
Mr. Walker, let's move forward if we can. A follow-up question to you, Senator, in 30 seconds. Georgians need help right now. In your opinion, is the answer another stimulus check, or is there a better option out there to deal with this right now?
We passed the Inflation Reduction Act. He's already told you he would vote against it.
It didn't reduce inflation.
He's already told you that he doesn't believe in capping the costs of prescription drugs for people like my 84-year-old mother.
No,
I don't think they should.
I don't believe in
I don't think she should have to
Mr. Walker, let's let
choose.
him talk.
Yes.
You'll get a second.
I don't think she should have to choose between buying medicine and buying groceries. And that's why I've stood up for her, and I've stood up for hardworking families every single day. And I've stood against the corporations that are being bad actors. They're seeing record profits in the middle of a pandemic.
And
Who exploits a pandemic?
Gentlemen, we need to move on to our
Yes.
next topic in the interest of time. So that's election integrity. Tina, it's all yours.
All right, Buck, thank you. Senator Warnock, this question is for you. You have said the new Georgia voting laws implemented after the 2020 election create many obstacles for underserved.
Now, I'm going to skip through this because we got time issues. I'm not going to be here. I don't want to be here all day with it. But he talks about next, what he's talking about basically are the laws in Georgia and how it's made it more difficult for people to come out and vote, getting rid of, absentee ballots, closing off the drop boxes. Although the absentee ballots haven't been stopped, but the drop boxes have been there. It's been making people he claims more difficult to vote. But I want you to pay attention to what he says and how he classifies voting. Now, Brother Jason Black talked about this, but I caught this too because I had to hear it for myself.
Communities. Yet there was record turnout in Georgia in the primary this May. According to research done by the Brennan Center for Justice, the African American vote grew approximately 50% from 2018 to 2022's primaries. Senator, can you explain how the law negatively impacts minority votes? You have 60 seconds, sir.
So I have spent my whole career long before coming to the Senate fighting for voting rights, because I believe that a vote is a kind of prayer for the world we desire for ourselves and for our children. We register people to vote in my church. And in the Senate, I've stood up for democracy because that's the framework in which we get to fight for all of the things we care about. There is no question that SB 202 makes voting harder, and that is the intent. And the fact that many of our voters are overcoming this hardship doesn't undermine that reality. They've made it harder for folks to use the drop boxes. They've shortened the registration times. Folks are saying, you shouldn't have to, you should be able to get food or water in a line. I think the question is more fundamental than that. Why are the lines so long in certain communities? We're seeing record profits. Reduction Act. He's already told my whole career long before coming to the Senate fighting for voting rights. Because I believe that a vote is a kind of prayer for the world we desire for.
It's a kind of prayer for the world we desire. I've been on this channel with you all, and I think the main thing I have stressed, and it's hard, especially when you talk to elders, or let me just say older people, when it comes to voting, they want to try and get you to vote. Really, I've always noted with this whole thing, when you watch certain people on television now, especially the old heads, Swollen Martin, y'all don't get out to vote, you a damn fool. You voting for, you only, if you in your right, you ain't in your right mind, you voting for Marshall, you a damn fool. The Tiffany Crosby, the Tiffany Cross-Eyed, the Rachel Maddow, the Rachel Maddow, although she's not FBA, but that's part of that liberal network on MSNBC, the Don Lemonades, all of them. I've noticed when they want and encourage people to come out and vote, it's not so much that they want them to vote. They want them to vote Democrat because they know, number one, blacks in record turnouts, when they vote, they're going to vote largely Democrat. And that's because they know the Republican Party has ignored the black community. But has not the Democrats done that in recent times? Now, he says that a vote is a kind of prayer for the world we need to be. This is the problem right now. And I'm relating it back to what I was just saying. People are worshiping celebrities. People worship politicians. People look to a politician to change their circumstances. When you say a prayer is to God, not to a man. I look at this more when I think of an election, and if I ever run for office, people will look at this and say what I have to say. I look at it as a job. It's a job. You come in here to do work. You come in here to affect change. You're coming there. Well, I'm asking you to give me something in exchange for this. And it's the same thing as a job. When you come into work, wherever you work at, you're working a 9 to 5. You give up your time to your profession and you get paid for it. Now, you may argue you're not paid enough or so forth, but that's what we do. And if you don't like it, quit. And of course, if you mess up on the job, you don't get along with the boss or don't follow directions and orders that he gives you, you get fired from that. So I look at that the same way, and we have to start looking at as we talk about voting in politicians, because while I am not against voting, I am against voting blindly just because out of fear of what this person is like, or I can't hear him, or he's gonna do this, or how good he looks. That's what some people have actually do, and that's when they talk about taking voting for granted. That's taking it for granted as well. But listen to this, and I want
For
to play a
ourselves
little
and for
bit
our
more.
children. We register people to vote in my church. And in the Senate, I've stood up for democracy because that's the framework in which we get to fight for all of the things we care about. There's no question that SB 202 makes voting harder, and that is the intent. And the fact that many of our voters are overcoming this hardship doesn't undermine that reality. They've made it harder for folks to use the drop boxes. They've shortened the registration times. Folks are saying, you shouldn't have to, you should be able to get food or water in a line. I think the question is more fundamental than that. Why are the lines so long in certain communities and not others? And so I just want to encourage Georgia voters to keep showing up. Don't let anybody take your voice. Don't let anybody take your vote. It took too much to get here, and I'm honored to represent you in the United States Senate.
Senator Warnock, thank you. Mr. Walker, we move to you now. In 2020, Georgia became the epicenter for questions on voter fraud. We'd like to hear your thoughts in 60 seconds. Did President Biden defeat former President Donald Trump in 2020? Again, sir, you have 60 seconds.
Well, first of all, I need to mention that he said that SB 202.
Herschel don't even know where he's at. Look at it.
It made it easier to vote. And
Folks are saying
that
really
SB 202, really, it made it easier to vote and harder to cheat. And she mentioned that more people turned out for the primary. So you gotten good in Washington not answering that question, because that was the question she asked you. And did President Biden win? President Biden won, and Senator Warnock won. That's the reason I decided to run. Because we need a change in Washington. We need leaders that's going to stand up to foreign leaders. We need people that's going to stand up for people in Georgia. Because Senator Warnock, he went to Washington, but he forgot about Georgia. And I want to stand for the people of Georgia. He just mentioned he's standing for the people of Georgia, but can he tell me why he voted with Joe Biden 96% of the time if he was standing for Georgia? That tells you that he's for Joe Biden, I'm for Georgia.
Mr. Walker, thank you. Now, before we move on, gentlemen,
I'd like to respond to that.
I will give you that opportunity, sir. I will give you that opportunity, Senator. You have 15 seconds to respond.
It is very clear that my opponent would rather be running against anybody except me. But either me, there are only two people who are gonna sit in this seat, either me or my opponent. And I think
Raphael got them pupils dilated. That's why this motherfucker, he's that surprised. I've never seen a man.
This race is about who's ready to represent the people of Georgia. And I'm thinking about them every single day.
But if he cut from the same cloth at 96% of the time, I'm running he and Joe Biden because they're the same.
Gentlemen, we are moving on now. This next question. This is a yes or no response, and this is for both of you, Senator Warnock. Yes or no, regardless of who wins in November, will you accept the outcome?
Yes.
And Mr. Walker, regardless of who wins in November, will you accept the outcome?
Yes.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Buck, over to you.
Thank you, Tina. We turn now to the topic of abortion. We're going to start with you, Mr. Walker. A week before
now
this debate, a
listen to
former
this.
girlfriend made public accusations saying you paid for an abortion and that you encouraged her to have another. In an ABC News interview this week, you said that the accusations are, quote, all lies. For the voters watching tonight, can you explain the circumstances surrounding these claims? You have 60 seconds.
Well, as I said, that's a lie. And what most thing I put it in a book. One thing about my life is I've been very transparent. Not like the senator, he's hid things. But at the same time, I said that's a lie. And on abortion, I'm a Christian. I believe in life. And I tell people this, Georgia is a state that respects life, and I'll be a senator that protects life. And I said that was a lie, and I'm not backing down. And when you have Senator Warnock, people that would do anything and say anything for this seat, but I'm not going to back down because this seat is too important to the Georgia people for me to back down right now.
You've been vocally pro-life, supporting a ban on abortions without exceptions. Would you support a complete ban on a national level?
Well, first of all, see, that's not true either. I said I support the heartbeat bill. And I said I support the Georgia heartbeat bill because that's the bill of the people from Governor Kemp. And I said that has exceptions in it. I said I'm a Christian, but I'm also representing the people of Georgia, and that's who I represent. So what the people of Georgia stand for, I'm going to stand with them.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Senator Warnock, you said repeatedly that the exam room is too small for the patient, her doctor, and the U.S. government. We're asking you to take a clear position right now. Do you believe there should be any limitations on abortion set by the government? And you have 60 seconds.
I think that the women of this country and the women of this state woke up one summer morning and a core protection that they've known for 50 years was taken from them by an extremist Supreme Court. And I stand where I've said I stand in the past, that a patient's room is too narrow and small and cramped a space for a woman, her doctor, and the United States government. We are witnessing right now what happens when politicians, most of them men, pile into patients' rooms. You get what you're seeing right now. And the women of Georgia deserves a senator who will stand with them.
Yeah.
I trust women more than I trust politicians.
May I respond?
Very quickly.
Now, here's my thing on Raphael Warnock. This is a man who is the pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. He had John Lewis's funeral there. This was Dr. King's church. And here is a man, Dr. King and his father were the pastors of his church. And here is a man who is saying he supports putting children in a blender and killing them. He supports abortion. He didn't answer the question, by the way. He did that throughout the debate. And I find it interesting because if you're a pastor, and one of the and as a pastor, is someone who believes in the Bible, the commandments make it clear what God thought about the taking of the life, and especially, shedding the blood of the innocent. Now, I'm not here to preach to you all. I'm not a minister. I'm not a deacon or anything like that. I'm a man just like everyone else. But I'm just looking at it from the standpoint that we have a pastor, someone who believes in God, that doesn't even respect the commandments, which says, "Thou shalt not kill." Now, Herschel Walker is going to bring up a very interesting point in this. And again, I'm not even in favor of Herschel Walker because I just think he's an idiot. But listen to what he has to say.
It is, and I heard about him there. I heard he was a neat talker. But did he not mention that there's a baby in that room as well? And also, did he not mention that he asking the taxpayer to pay for it? So he's bringing the government back into the room. So he's not talking about that. So when he mentioned that, it's like I've not seen too many pastors that would say that statement.
Mr. Warnock, I'll give you a chance to rebut.
I am a pastor. I'm a man of faith. And I have a profound reverence for life and a deep respect for choice. And because I have such a profound reverence for life, it's one of the reasons why I've stood up to address this issue of maternal mortality in our country. We lead all of the Western nations on that front, and Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die, even when they have the insurance and the income. Now, that's something government could actually do something about. And I joined with Marco Rubio of Florida to pass a bill to address maternal mortality. The women of Georgia have a clear choice as we're watching women die. Do you want a senator who wants to control your life, or do you want a senator who wants to save your life? Well, I want to save your life.
Well, what's funny,
We need to
I
keep moving,
have
Mr.
to- I
Walker.
have to respond to this
Very quick.
because he told me Black Lives Matter. And if you think about it, Senator, in Atlanta, Georgia, there's more Black baby that is aborted than anything. So if Black Lives Matter, why are you not protecting those babies? And instead of aborting those babies, why are you not baptizing those babies?
Mr. Warnock, or Senator Warnock, will give you a chance to respond to that.
Oh, they had to get, so he got a chance to respond like 4 or 5 times after on the same topic. They were going back and forth. You can tell, especially, and here's another thing why I don't really watch these debate shows and so forth. Sometimes I watch them to hear information and comedic stuff, but these debate shows, they're set up. The questions are set up. Remember when Rowley got in trouble, Donna Bazile got in trouble because they were caught sharing the questions with Hillary Clinton back in 2016. Beep, 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 yeah, I gave them to her. Beep, beep, beep.
I think the women of Georgia have a clear choice. He says no exceptions.
Creepers. Where did you get those?
Even in the case of rape, incest, or the life of the mother.
Raphael Warnock is
that's
probably the only
extreme.
man on earth that's always awake. Just looking at
Is out of touch with Georgia, and I intend to do the work that senators can do.
See, he didn't read the heartbeat bill, though. Wait, he didn't read the heartbeat bill. There is exceptions for that in the heartbeat bill. So when he makes a statement that is untrue, and I do respect that, Senator, you have to read that bill.
A follow-up question for you, Senator Warnock. We asked that you take a listen to something that you said at the rally just a couple weeks ago.
So women, I trust women and their wisdom and their ability to sit with their own doctor.
Now, wait a minute. Y'all listen carefully. Y'all know who he sounds like? He sounds just like Barack Obama. Y'all listen to that?
And if they choose to sit with their pastor and to pray about that and let their own conscience guide them. Even God gave us a choice.
Even God gave us a choice.
I mean, he sounds just like Barack Obama.
I think it's self-explanatory. God gave us a choice.
Now you notice he sounds different. I think he had Barack Obama do a voiceover and he was just lip talking. Did y'all see that? I'm not the only one. I mean, I'm sorry, I had to say that. Yeah, he sounds just like Obama. Listen to how Obama talks when he was campaigning. Just listen.
Out there.
But has seen his world upended by economic and cultural and technological change. We have to pay attention and listen. Of the problem. But to simply deny the problem not only betrays future generations, it betrays the essential spirit of this country.
I had enough of it. But he sounds just like Obama in that. Now he notice he sounds different.
the right of women to make a decision. These are medical
We'll
decisions.
talk about him in a minute.
They're deeply personal.
Fair use.
Women find themselves in a range of circumstances. And this issue has been far too politicized. And we're witnessing right now the chaos that ensues as a result of that. And women right now who may be facing a miscarriage in some cases are wondering what will happen and how will they have to explain that. I think that's deeply problematic. There are enough politicians piling into the rooms of patience. And I don't plan to join them.
But just to clarify, in your opinion, God gave us a choice in regards to abortion.
It is apparent that God has given us a range of choices, and the people of Georgia have a choice right now about who they think should represent them in the Senate.
And may I have to respond?
Mr. Walker, we do have to move on to our next
This will be
topic.
very short, because he's correct. God gave us a choice. But also within the Bible, if you read the Bible more, God said, choose life. In the Bible, it says, I give you a choice. Just like Adam and Eve had a choice, but they chose death.
Very
And
quick,
God said,
very
you
quick.
choose.
Mr. Walker, we need to move forward.
I think he wants to arrogate to politicians more power than God has.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. We're going to have to move on to our next topic, okay? Tina?
Okay. We are moving on, gentlemen, on the next topic, and it is about student loans. We turn to
Now, I gotta
Christian
skip
Dent,
through this, but I want y'all to look
It
at
had
this
nothing to
because
do with that. But he is so
I gotta bring this up. I'm skipping through it, but for time. But this candidate trust topic, so he really schooled Raphael Warnock on the Bible there. And this is a reverend.
Switching gears a little bit here, sir. Your ex-wife filed a lawsuit
Yes.
asking for increased child support, saying that she had to pay for child care on days that your duties as a senator interfered with your parenting time, and citing significant increases in your income. In 30 seconds, what is your response to that lawsuit?
Listen, I went through a divorce, like a lot of people. And while that was a painful period, what came out of that was two amazing children that I just talked to before I came on this stage. And my children know that I am with them and for them, and that I support them in every single way that a father does.
Thank you, Senator. Now to you, Mr. Walker. Recent ads have highlighted allegations of past domestic violence. They've raised questions about how transparent you've been as far as your resume. In 1 minute, how do you respond to voters who question your integrity, both personally and professionally?
First of all, I've been very transparent, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. And I say I had a mental problem, and I'll be a champion for mental health, because so many people suffer from mental health. But to have people like Senator Warnock that demonize mental health, when I want to tell everyone out there, you can get help. Don't listen to Senator Warnock and his people. You can get help. All you got to do is ask. All you got to do is ask. But the problem with the truth, you just saw it. You just saw it, because he won't answer that about evicting the people from the church. And I told him I will pay I'll pay their salary. You're evicting them right now.
We have not evicted. We have not evicted those.
I didn't write the article.
I didn't
write the article. And most of the people out there steal my time.
I'm okay with the discussion. If you start talking over each other, we have to move forward.
We have not evicted the tenants.
Senator.
And he should take that money and pay it back to the veterans that he exploited while pretending to run.
That too. And see, you can tell that he's not desperate, because if he had read in that thing, he would have saw that I had nothing to do with that. But he is so desperate right now, and he really wants that seat. He's now telling you, I didn't evict anyone. It is written in the paper. I didn't do this. Well, Senator, you did. And it's okay to speak the truth. Do not bear false witness, Senator. Do not bear false witness.
Mr. Walker, to keep this moving, I want to follow up with you. You have been very open on your, Senator Warnock, we need to move forward here. You have been very open about your struggles with mental illness, and you even wrote a book about your diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder. We recently asked if you were still receiving treatment, and this is what you had to say.
No, that's all done, and you don't need to. And that's why I tell people, I think one thing I told people is I've been open about it, and I was open about it, 14 years ago.
Mr. Walker, in 30 seconds, can you clarify this? Are you saying you no longer have dissociative identity disorder, or is this something that you continue to this day to
No,
manage?
no, you don't have to have treatment for it. And I encourage people to continue to talk to people. Yeah, I talk to my pastors. I talk to my pastors, and I continue to get help if I need help. But I don't need any help. I'm doing well. But that's the reason why I tell anyone out there that is suffering from any type of mental illness, you can get help. All you got to do is ask. And I will always, always be a champion for mental health.
And just to clarify, how can Georgia voters, though, be assured that this will not impact your ability to lead if elected?
Because I'm ready to lead today. I'm ready to vote with the Georgia voters, whereas Senator Warnock has voted with Joe Biden 96% of the time. I'm ready to vote with the Georgia voters today.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll move on to our next topic. Tina?
And that topic, gentlemen, is health insurance. Georgia is one of 12 states that have not accepted
waiting for
federal
them to
funding to
show
expand Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act. Mr. Walker, with more than 1.5 million
The paper, I didn't do.
Proud to serve up the needs of that.
topic is about personal integrity.
Lies with Senator Warnock because he said he was going to Washington to represent Georgia. He went to Washington to represent Joe Biden. That's the reason we're in the mess with.
I'm trying to pull out.
And I even have some sheriffs here. They've endorsed me because they know I have their back. They're going to have my back. So to listen to him say that after calling them name, I think is a disgrace.
Mr. Walker, thank you. I have a follow-up now for both of you.
I think I ought to be able to respond to that.
I will give you the opportunity, 15 seconds to
We-
respond,
we-
Senator
we-
Warnock.
We will see time and time again tonight, as we've already seen, that my opponent has a problem
This is
with the
it.
truth.
Here it is.
And just because he said something doesn't mean it's true. I have supported our police officers. I called them and I prayed with their families, like those officers lost in Cobb County when they were killed, doing what police officers routinely do. You can support police officers, as I've done, through the COPS program, through the Invest to Protect program, while at the same time holding police officers, like all professions, accountable. One thing I have not done, I've never pretended to be a police officer, and I've never threatened a shootout with the police.
Well, and now I have to respond to that.
We are moving on,
I have to
gentlemen.
respond to that. And you know what's so funny? I am with many police officers, and at the same time,
Mr. Walker, Mr. Walker,
No, no,
Mr.
no,
Walker,
no. When he
Mr.
said a
Walker,
problem with
excuse
the
me,
truth-
Mr. Walker,
when he
please,
said a problem
out
with
of
the truth
respect,
is
I
in
need to
here.
let you know, Mr.
Yes.
Walker, you are very well
Yes.
aware of the rules tonight,
yes,
and you have a prop. That
yes.
is not allowed, sir. I
yes.
ask you to put that prop away.
Well, it's not a problem.
It-
got
This
that
is
from
real.
Toys R
And
Us.
he said I have a problem. I never
It
worked
is
with law
considered a
enforcement.
prop, Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
You're very well aware of the rules.
Mommy may be
Aren't you?
sheriff
Well,
today.
Aren't you aware of the
he
rules?
brought up the truth. Let's talk about the truth.
Thank you for putting that
Yes.
prop away. And as a matter of fact, we still have a lot to get to, and we are not going to continue this. We're going to follow up with a question. And this is according to the CDC. Homicide is the leading cause of death for African-American youth. Mr. Walker, in 30 seconds, why do you believe this is happening? And what would you do to stop it?
Well, what I would do is hold people accountable, which is Senator Warnock not doing. Believing in no cash bail, no accountability, that is a problem. People must be accountable for their action. And the truth lies with Senator Warnock because he said he was going to Washington to represent Georgia. He went to Washington to represent Joe Biden. That's the reason we're in the mess we're in today, because he represents Joe Biden and not the truth for Georgia.
Now, let me just say this about that badge. Man, when he pulled that badge out, I lost it. But you know, the badge, what they do with that, it's like with most celebrities, it's like Elvis or like Shaq. I think or Steven Seagal, Dan Aykroyd even has a badge. They give them it makes them basically they're a reservist, and they give those badges as honorary to the celebrities, the entertainers, the athletes that are part of that community or so forth. They'll give that to them in an honorary capacity. Although Shaq, my understanding, Shaq has actually gone out and arrested some fools. He got sued for police brutality. Shaq been sued. A man filed a complaint on Shaq over that. I'm not lying. Go look that up. I don't know what happened with it, but I remember the news story. I remember watching that shit. I laughing my butt off. If only he could hit a free throw at that time, like he hit this dude. But your debate with Warnock and Marshall, I'm gonna ask the family, and I'm putting it in on the channel right now. Who do y'all think won the debate, Walker or Warnock? Are you, even if you're in Georgia, would you even be interested in voting? Give me a yes or no on that. So I'm actually putting that in the chat right now. Who won the debate? So I got that in the chat on my YouTube channel, GBoo2786. Who y'all think won? But some people, and you look at the comments, bye-bye, Walker, go get that CTE looked at. You can only look at it when you're dead. Guys, just by what I was hearing in the audience, and you were listening to that, it was a mixed bag. Some for Walker, some for Warnock that applauded. So it wasn't like, I don't think Raphael Warnock is going to have an easy time with Herschel Walker. Don't be surprised if he ends up winning this thing, because and we have to ask ourselves what the Democrats have done lately. Now, they've done nothing. Now, I have actually seen, I'm looking at the polls now, 3 people say Warnock won, 3 votes, 2 say Warnock, 1 says Walker. 1 for Walker, 2 for Warnock. Don't be surprised if Herschel Walker actually wins, y'all. Because he won that primary and I was shocked. They will vote for him. There are people that will vote for him and do it just because they spite Warnock in the Democratic Party. Did y'all know that Rob Schneider, the guy who was in all of Adam Sandler's movies, he's also been in Home Alone. He's also been in anything Adam Sandler does, he's been in. He was in Waterboy. You go, you could do it. He was in Home Alone too. He actually was on Fox News and actually said he was leaving the Democratic Party. Now, I haven't watched it, but did y'all hear about that? Now, of course, nobody. He said he's had it with the Democratic Party. And they were reacting to Tulsi Gabbard leaving the Democratic Party.
Well,
it was on Fox.
Your life that they don't want to interfere.
Actually, Tulsi Gabbard doing what she did yesterday.
It shouldn't be such a shock. We don't get 10 parties; you get 2.
Right.
You know, and I really feel like I don't want the Democratic Party trying to run my life. And there's not one aspect of your life that they don't want to interfere with. So I had it with them. So I got out of California. I moved to the slightly freer state of Arizona.
Slightly. Your journey is similar, though. You were a Democrat, and then
you have to be in San Francisco.
Of course. So what was it that changed your point of view?
Well, literally, there wasn't. Taxes. there wasn't one part of business. Newsom pushed me over the edge.
Right.
It's just like I just don't think your life gets better there. It gets worse. You know what it was? It's like there was in San Francisco. They said you had to remove. I was living in San Francisco. I had it made there. It's like it's on the cable car and everything. I had a rooftop. This is the place where I'm going to live forever. And they said you have to have the toilets removed from your house. And I said, what? What? I don't have toilets in front of my house. It was flower pots.
Right.
They made me remove all the flower pots. So it just got crazier and crazier. And maybe I'm looking at this all wrong. San Francisco either has a huge homeless problem or a gigantic camping success story. You have to look at both
What
ways.
made you want to be so bold and so vocal about it? Because Tulsi said, if you don't agree with the Democratic Party, you're trashed, you're canceled.
Yes. So absolutely. She's right.
You worry about that, getting jobs?
Yes, of course you are. Yeah. As an actor, you're always coming from a place of trying to get work. But at a certain point, you have to worry about, I'm in my 50s now, late 50s. It's going to catch you too, Brian. But, no, yeah, I worry more about the freedoms of my kids.
Yeah.
I'm a grandfather now.
Right.
And so, I do at a certain point, you have to put it's really weird. Something's wrong. When people say, like, if you put God and family and country first, that's somehow controversial.
Right.
How is that controversial?
Or a flag is triggering.
Yeah. So
Right.
I think at a certain point you have to say enough of this and stand up to it.
Did you lose friends?
I would say people that don't return my calls as often. But to be honest with you, a lot of people that I'm friends with in Hollywood, they lean towards the right, but they're just scared of it because it really is like a mob of ideologues that just that you feel they will attack you. And it's really not necessarily based in anything but this almost like a religious architecture in their thinking.
So I actually agree with Rob Schneider on that. I actually agree with him. If Tulsi Gabbard hadn't said the anti-white racism thing, I would agree with her too. But a lot of people are fed up. I agree. I'm fed up with the Democratic Party because this is not the same party you're talking about that John F. Kennedy, Camelot, was affiliated with. This is not the same Democratic Party with your FDR. This has, as Judge Joe Brown would put it, is demagogued. They do every damn thing. Oh, every damn thing is so damn sensitive. Everything is so gay. It's a damn religion. Oh, damn, I'm tired of it. And I think that you're going to see, especially we saw it with the election of Donald Trump, it was that backlash from all the things that were taking place. I remember in 2015 with these bathroom bills, with the inflow of illegal immigrants, the fact that the economy was struggling at that point. There was a bunch of things that affected people in running and voting that year. And we also and I bet and assure you that come in 2020, we even saw that because many black men did not vote for Joe Biden. At least 20% of black men voted for Donald Trump. He increased black votership in a Republican Party. He did it in 2016 and he did it in 2020. And I think that had more to do with the fact that they could not, in good conscience, vote for Joe Biden based off of his policies, based off what he said, and basically how the Democratic Party is treating black people. Look at what they've done currently with this no voting, no voting. Are they trying to say, well, it had nothing to do with this, but your name was tied to it? Let's be real. When you encourage black people to vote, you're not encourage. They want black people to go out and vote. Go out and vote. It's not to vote Republican for sure. I can tell you that much. If you told, because who I vote for is nobody's business. But if I told people I voted third party, you would have people upset with that. Oh, you just wasted that. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Well, it's my choice. Isn't that right? Did you want me to vote and exercise my right to vote? Or did you want me to vote for what you want? Because if it's my vote, then I vote for who I want, not you. But that's the direction this country is going. So I just want to share that. I was sharing that right quick, but we see that today. And, oh, look at this. Now the poll says it's 50%. 57% of you say Herschel Walker won. 43% say Warnock out of 7 votes. So the tide is changing. The tide is changing. Now, the next topic I want to go into, of course, I said that I was going to get back to Barack Obama. That he is campaigning in the next few weeks in the state of Georgia, so they're bringing Barack Obama out, and of course they do this because the Stacey Abrams is in trouble. That's the main reason why they're doing it. But he campaigned for her back in 2019 for the same race. So he's doing it again. He's doing it also for the midterm elections with your Raphael Warnock and against your Herschel Walker. So I'm gonna play this courtesy of ABC News. This aired about 7 hours ago. So I'll copyright for copyright strike purposes. This is fair use. It's for
your voice, your vote now. With just over 3 weeks to go before the midterm elections, former President Obama is scheduled to campaign for Democratic candidates in Georgia, where there are a number of tight races, and that's where ABC's Alex Boucher has been speaking with voters as early voting starts tomorrow morning. Good morning to you, Alex.
Hey, Janae, yes, we learned that news. And Obama scheduled here on the 28th. Meanwhile, tomorrow, there is a major debate in the governor's race here. And as you mentioned, it's also the start of early in-person voting.
With just 22 days before the midterm election and the first and only debate of the hotly contested Georgia U.S. Senate race done, Republican nominee Herschel Walker reveled in his debate night performance.
And we got to get leaders in this country that's going to stand up for America.
It's a race that could determine which party will control the U.S. Senate. Meanwhile, the campaign of Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock releasing fact checks on Walker's debate night claims about his records on law enforcement, healthcare, and immigration. As Election Day nears, polls indicating a tight race between Warnock and Walker, former President Barack Obama is expected to campaign for Warnock and other Georgia Democrats, including Stacey Abrams, who's challenging Republican Governor Brian Kemp. Those two are scheduled for a high-stakes debate on Monday. Over at Herschel Walker's alma mater, the University of Georgia, it was homecoming. There was plenty of grilling and barking. And also a lot of Herschel Walker jerseys. For many voters here in Georgia, the most urgent issues they say they face is inflation, then abortion, then election laws, and gun violence. In Atlanta, voting rights is a big concern.
For me, it's going to be making sure that...
Now, that's not what they said earlier. You saw that when Warnock was talking? It wasn't about that. When Warnock and Walker were doing the campaign, were doing the debate, remember, it was the economy. It was the economy. Abortion was third. I believe the second thing, if I'm not mistaken, was healthcare. I could be wrong. I don't remember, but abortion, they said
Voters here
#1.
in Georgia, the most urgent issues they say they face is inflation, then abortion, then election laws, and gun violence. In Atlanta, voting rights is a big concern.
For me, it's going to be making sure that we press the fact that everyone's vote should count. Everyone's vote matters.
The Secretary of State race is being closely watched too. Brad Raffensperger, who defied former President Trump's unlawful request to overturn Biden's victory in the state, is also on the ballot. One thing voters all agreed on, the negative ads with both Republicans and Democrats telling me enough.
They're horrible. They're insulting.
They don't sway me one way or the other.
No, people.
We hopped around to a couple of different tailgates, and one of the things the fans told us that they took pride in was good sportsmanship, saying these political ads could take a page out of the football playbook. Eva?
Alex Boucher for us there. Thank you, Alex.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're bringing Obama out now. Why they're doing that? They feel that people will listen to Barack Obama because he's that good orator. He knows how to use words and knows how to campaign. He can do it because Michelle and I want you to do it. They're here in America. That's what Barack Obama likes to do. But I don't think it will have any sway. Because for the time being that Barack Obama has been out of office, I don't think anybody really cares what he has to say too much. And especially me, because he talked about young black men. Yeah, Warnock was dodging questions. Yeah, shout out to DeAndre. DeAndre was at my comedy show last night. Oh, guys, I got to tell y'all. Believe me, yeah, it was worth. Yeah, believe me, we had a great show. We put on one of the best shows. We always put on the best comedy shows in New Orleans area. You know, I'm the host. I tell my jokes, but of course, it's also about the family, the comedians that I had out there, and I want to give them a special shout out. Shout out to Ruffin Jokes. He was the opener. Shout out to Terry Scott, who was my headliner. Chubu, Chubu. I'm sorry, I got a text message. Chubu, Will Merrill, all the way from Baton Rouge. Will Merrill's my man. Brandon Haynes, of course, who always kills it. And B Dub. I mean, these motherfuckers, they brought the heat. And I had a special guest, somebody special that rocked the house, Miss Shep Kelly. Shep Kelly came in and just absolutely nailed and killed everything. I got pictures from the show I'll share with y'all. But DeAndre came out and supported me, so I was just grateful that he came out. But yeah, this is pictures I got of everybody here. I just want to share with everyone. My family, we all enjoyed it. I had a lot of people. We had a packed house. Just look at that. That's Terry, his crazy old ass. That's Chew. Chew was out there. So yeah, we were taking pictures. That's Shep Kelly. That's Will Merrill. Yeah. I don't know where Brandon's. I left his ass off on purpose, but Brandon Haynes. Yeah, Brandon Haynes killed it. So I want to say B Dub. I want to send a special love and thank you to all of them. On the job well done that they did. If Warnock can't be walking, he's somewhere on the spectrum. Trying to see what our results are. But yeah, it's no surprise that they're bringing them there. Not that they're bringing Barack Obama there. They're doing that because they think he's going to have pull. But as we've stated earlier, the old black hairs, especially, that stuff I don't think will work. It cannot work because young people are waking up. And I think, especially in recent years, and even your Van Jones, I remember when he talked about this on CNN, the way the Democratic Party approaches people comes off as annoying. Tariq Nasheed even shared that video. If y'all go back and look at a couple years ago when the Democrats, well, actually last year when the Democrats was losing all of those elections, it was like it was red all the way. Yes, I did show the debate, Mr. Pirate Brain, but you can go ahead and look at it. I actually have it up here. It was something else. Now, what I was saying was, yeah, it comes off as annoying. That's what Rob Schneider was even hinting at, and Tulsi Gabbard to a degree. That's what she was saying. A lot of it does come off as annoying. I agree with that. They don't really focus on issues, they're focused on feelings. Now, I got to expect somebody called and said these two buffoons. I think it was Danielle who said that a lot of people are not listening to Obama. They couldn't care less on what he has to say. Absolutely. These two buffoons are some extremely poor choices. Yeah, I think they both are. But I want to show something. Kanye West is in trouble. as if that's a surprise. Kanye was on Revolt. Now, here's the thing. Him and Diddy have been going back and forth, but he's on a Revolt show, which we know Diddy owns or at least co-owns. Or, I think that's Diddy's channel, but I don't know if Diddy owns it all the way. But this is on Revolt, by the way, Drink Champs. This is an episode he did. And he was talking about Meek Mill, he was talking about Pete Davidson and Diddy. But then he said this, which is what really set a lot of people off, and people are commenting on it. He talked about George Floyd. Now, I want y'all to hear this. I'll play it for you all.
Day when he died, I watched the George Floyd documentary that Candace Owens put up. One of the things that his two roommates said was, they want a tall guy like me. They want a tall guy like me. And the day when he died, he said a prayer for 8 minutes. Mm-hmm. He said a prayer for 8 minutes. They hit him with the fentanyl. If you look, the guy's knee wasn't even on his neck like that. When he said mama, is his girlfriend. They said he screamed for his mama. Mama was his girlfriend. It's in the documentary. But something that hit me, that fucked me up when I was watching the documentary, and it said, they want a tall guy like me. When I looked at that image of him, this tall black dude with the bald head, he reminded me of somebody else. Who do you think he reminded me of? Virgil. He reminded me of Virgil. You know what I'm saying? I'm not finna cry in front of y'all because that's how they get me, right? Right. But I know that we lost him. And I know that this white company, Louis Vuitton, is now making statues of him, like as a martyr. And we don't know why exactly. We say it's cancer.
But I want to be careful with this subject because.
Wait a second, but tell me, could you even really run this interview? Because Mav didn't run my interview.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They blocked me out. The Jewish media blocked me out. This shit lit, right? I'm lit, right? I'm lit. I'm lit. You know what I'm saying? JP Morgan, I put $140 million into JP Morgan and they treated me like shit. So if JP Morgan Chase is treating me like that, how they treating the rest of y'all?
That's outrageous, yeah. And this murderers with Chase accounts. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I am outraged. By the time people they want to calm it down.
Because no matter what, you didn't break no law.
I didn't break a law. I didn't break a law.
The bank shouldn't be a judge or jury on anything that's
but
going
this
on.
is it's like a social contract. Candace Owens has a word for it, I'm forgetting. But it's basically like they told Candace Owens she couldn't hang out with me. You know, I'm
this Negro. Now I listen to
whether it's through us wearing a Ralph Lauren shirt, or it's all of us being signed to a record label, or having a Jewish manager, or being signed to a
now listen, Kanye West, basically he's like this broken clock. He may say some things that are deep, but then he puts his foot in his mouth. George Floyd died from what was described as cardiopulmonary arrest, which was caused by the actions of another person. That is what the medical examiner said. He said that he found that Floyd's heart stopped while he was restrained and that his death was a homicide. So you explained to me, Kanye, and I'm not shocked, of course, it's Candace Owens, this self-hating ostrich, this coconut. Between her and Kanye, two coconuts. But you explained to me, especially when we heard it in testimony in open court, under oath, the medical examiner, as well as I believe they even brought a lung expert in, who explained why George Floyd died at the hands of this cop. Derek Chauvin, you see here in this picture, hold on, Mr. West. Wake up, Mr. West. How are you going to say, when you look at that, his knee is not on his neck? And this has been this was shared millions of times. It was shown throughout the world. Now, I don't condone, or let me just say this. Yeah, George Floyd, I don't doubt, had drug problems, was a drug user. I don't doubt that he had a criminal history, but that don't justify in any way, shape, or form someone's death. And it's been in the medical examiners. We don't have to argue whether it was homicide or not. The courts found that it was. Everybody saw it. The man was saying he couldn't breathe. They had him in a car. Remember, George Floyd was originally in the police car. But Kanye, or Kanye, has been on this coon buffooning tour. And I don't agree with making him the man. And let me just get back with George Floyd. I don't agree with him making him a martyr. I don't consider him a martyr. And statues of him being a hero. No, I don't think that. Hell, if you want to do that for Rodney King. Do that for Emmett Till, if you believe that. Well, really more Emmett than anything. Because Emmett was truly a martyr. The 3 civil rights workers, I would even conclude, are martyrs. Medgar Evers is a martyr. Dr. King is a martyr. Malcolm X is a martyr. I wouldn't say George Floyd is a martyr. He's a casualty in war. A visible casualty at that, who was executed by this police officer in broad daylight. That's why they're in jail. And this is the same Candace Owens. He's quoting Candace Owens, who tried to justify Ahmaud Arbery's killing. She tried to justify it. So it's no surprise, and I've heard someone said that
I watched the George Floyd documentary that
Kanye and her are dating, but he said
Candace Owens put up.
His knee
One of the
wasn't
things
even on his neck like that. Bullshit.
But the main point is, so I took it over to Dove Charney at LA Apparel, and he founded Los Angeles Apparel. So then we made the White Lives Matter tees, and then when I put up the tweet, the DEF CON tweet, now he ain't releasing the tee because he's Jewish. And I'm like, see, this is my exact point that I'm making. Like, Jewish people have owned the Black voice. Whether it's through us wearing a Ralph Lauren shirt, or it's all of us being signed to a record label, or having a Jewish manager, or being signed to a Jewish basketball team, or doing a movie on a Jewish platform like Disney. And we understand, it's like, I respect what the Jewish people have done and how they brought their people together. What I loved about it, I love Dove just as a human being.
And this is the guy from Adidas?
Dove is from American Apparel.
Okay.
But I'm talking about put out my White Lives Matter tee. The White Lives Matter tee don't say nothing. It don't say DEF CON or nothing on it, right? I'm like, put it out. And he's telling me, like, yo, I want you to visit the Holocaust Museum. And I was like, yo, I want you to visit Planned Parenthood. That's our Holocaust Museum. I'm like, yo, I'll put my life on this at this point. Because they've been fucking with me too long. They put the crazy narrative out there. My Jewish trainer, Harley Pasternak, who's Lizzo's trainer, put it out when I went to the hospital, put it in the press. I got a bunch of friends that went to the hospital. It didn't go to the press. They did that just like they did in the documentary on the 3rd episode to say, we love Ye like the rest of y'all. We know he a genius like the rest of y'all, but sometimes you got to turn the camera off on him. So they'll go and get a dude that's supposed to be my friend that's been taping me the whole time and buy this nigga out for $30 million.
See, he will say some interesting things. It's like a broken record. It's like a broken clock. The right time will get there at least twice, but for the rest of it gets it right at least twice. But other than that, it's done. You might gonna have to buy a new one anyway. Kanye is one of those. He'll say interesting stuff. He can, but for him to say that George Floyd didn't die by Derek Chauvin, and let me say this. He said his knee wasn't on his neck like that. Now he's free to say whatever he wants, but it's also misleading. And of course, we know, especially as content creators now, you got to be extra careful with the things you say because you can get sued, you can get backtracked. And it's my understanding now, I will report this to everybody, that Kanye actually, there are actually plans that I saw from the George Floyd's family that they're considering legal action against your Kanye West over his remarks. So you all got to be careful with the stuff that you say. Lee Merritt actually spoke with no, and this was reported earlier. He said the attorney representing George Floyd's family say they are considering taking legal action against his claims. Now, I don't know exactly how far, and I was a lawyer myself, what legal actions they could take. I mean, he does have freedom of speech, but you can't obviously sue for slander. You can't obviously sue for defamation of character because that's a personal right. And a personal right can only be brought by that person. And Lee Merritt actually said, while one cannot defame the dead, the family of George Floyd is considering suit for Kanye's false statements about the manner of his death, claiming Floyd died from fentanyl, not the brutality established criminally and civilly undermines and diminishes the Floyd's family's fight. And he quoted.
I watched the George Floyd documentary that Candace Owens put up. One of the things that his two roommates said was, they want a tall guy like me. They want a tall guy like me. And the day when he died, he said a prayer for,
Yeah, we saw this already.
me like that. How they treating the rest of y'all?
That's outrageous, yeah. And this murder was for chase accounts. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I am outraged. By the time people always did me like shit. So
yeah, Kanye's a fucking idiot. Remember when that dude Van Lathan checked him? Van Lathan checked him from TMZ for that remark when he said slavery was a choice. I don't want to play it because then they're gonna say I'm gonna get a copyright strike. But just go look that up. But that was just ridiculous. But we're gonna wrap this up, man. I've been on here for an hour 33 minutes. Yeah, he went off a whole tangent. I need y'all to please donate to the Cash App, the Zelle, the Venmo, the Google Pay, ladies and gentlemen. You see at the bottom. I want to thank everybody that came out to the comedy show. We will have another one again. We're thinking of doing a couple more in the month of November. Shout out to my man Brandon Haynes. Brandon Haynes actually has a comedy special that's coming up in November, and we want y'all, if you're in the New Orleans area, DeAndre, I want you to do this. Y'all can go out and support him by going to it. Maybe I'm tripping a comedy special at the Comedy House NOLA on November 25th. So that's actually going to be a great show. So y'all do that. Support my brother. I appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen. All right. We're going to wrap this up. Please also go to Amazon Kindle and get The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in the United States. Also, I need you all to please get me, if you can, support this channel by buying some of our music like Video Soul and Gotta Get On Up. Ladies and gentlemen, subscribe to the Facebook page at Commonwealth Cause. If you want to advertise, of course, you have our email, gavin.jewishone@gmail.com, and Patreon, ladies and gentlemen. All right? All of this was fair use. This was a great Sunday night. Unfortunately, we got to get ready for work in the morning like everything else, but legally speaking, well, he's going to likely win that on appeal, Pirate Brain, but legally speaking, you can't defame the dead. But I think what their lawsuit was, they were claiming, if I'm not mistaken, I guess defamation for the families, for their sake, on them, as well as an intentional infliction of emotional distress, because Alex Jones had been going off saying that, I think, for a few months and days on his broadcast, but they've actually bankrupted him to the point where he can't get on any platform, any mainstream media. So we all got to be careful, man, because you're a content creator. They can come after you and make life a living hell. But all right, y'all, be safe and be blessed. We're going to get out of here and get on up, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to the Patreon and donate to the Cash App, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all, family, for coming out and supporting the brother. So I'll holla. Peace, guys. Time to get on up. I'll take calls on Tuesday. So if you had calls about this, we're going to recap the Warnock debate on Tuesday. Let me know if you all want to comment and talk about it, all right? Good night.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat, because on the dance floor is where we'll meet. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do, cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body, cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do, cause the beat is really grooving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body, cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Now 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you breathe and you achieve. And so if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up
and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up, baby, yeah. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.